Waar wil jij staan?
Good morning. Thank you for visiting us. I will introduce myself in a second, but we are doing a duo presentation. We are also at the booth over here, at the just around the corner. We're going to talk a little bit today, and we want to give you something about what we think is very important, how we can use AI to support track worker safety, and in the end also to do more track works easier with the goal of improve rail capacity. Small introduction about myself. Lex van der Poel, civil engineer, 45 years old, living in the Netherlands. Since 2005, already working here in the railways. I think from 2007 I'm visiting here the InnoTrans. At this moment CTO, but we believe that we can deal with the challenges in an ecosystem of partnerships. And therefore we also work with Real Easy. A little bit more about that later, I would say. If you look to dual inventive, many of you probably know us from some of our equipments, our tooling, but actually it's a little bit more than that. So the tooling is just the interfaces you see, and we are working always to make the railways safer, more safe, and we do that in a remote control way. So this means that the transition time, I will explain a little bit later, which also is a precondition for today's presentation, that we can reduce that to almost zero. So talking about transition time. Transition time is actually, you have of course the moment the train drives, and then you need to change to transfer to the moment, oh sorry, it was automatic. Then you have to transfer to the moment that you want to do your track works. And the funny thing is, if we talk everywhere about railway capacity, we only talk about faster machines, more output, but in the process, especially that part, the process which we call transition time, takes normally a lot of time and therefore also takes a lot of capacity, in where at some points it's not even possible to step into the track and do something because all time is consumed for organizing your track workers' safety. So dealing with remote control, we have reduced that to below 30 seconds, and by having this, we have new opportunities. And these opportunities we like to share with you together with Real Easy for today. In a nutshell, and then I will hand over to my colleague Joris, using a remote control helps you to make the transition time or to reduce the transition time to below 30 seconds. So again, train driving, you need to do some activities in track. You use the remote control technology, and within seconds you are secured, safe, and can do the job, and also can step out. So that gives you a lot of opportunities. Together with partners, what we already said, we like to work in an ecosystem, everybody focused, but tapped into each other. And we like to extract more and more data about the behavior of the railways, but also about the planning, also more about that. And therefore, on top of that, on top of all this extra data, Real Easy can find the best moments to burn down your, I would almost say, your failure backlog, recovery backlog, but maybe even more. So I want to say hi to Joris.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that you can hear me quite well, and if not, let me know, then I will speak a little bit louder. Thank you, Lex, for the brief introduction. And yeah, as Lex already mentioned, building up an ecosystem of partners where you can really strengthen, use the strength of every stakeholder, that makes you faster to develop in this way. How can we create more capacity? A little bit on my background of Real Easy and myself. My background is in logistics. I have another company where we digital transform supply chains. So with this background, we do a lot of stuff on process optimization, amongst others, with AI. A little bit older than Lex, but also living in the Netherlands, both living on the Brabant route, as we call it in the Netherlands, at the big, one of the big lines, railway lines. And yeah, I'm proudly to present here my grandma, because my grandma, she worked as, she had a complete rail freight station of currently DHL, former Van Genteloos, where trains come in and trucks come out for cross-docking for the last mile. I'm self-working in the railway industry since 2005, mostly with the shippers and in the intermodal business. And so now we say, okay, what can we do with this knowledge? With this knowledge, what can we do better to digitize basically a lot of processes and use that for better capacity? So, looking to capacity. Like for the infrastructure, right? We all have our yearly planning, and every infra manager makes a yearly planning, and for the construction you have your, it looks nice. It looks really nice because it's planned ahead, a year ahead, and you have your train schedules, so you know where to fit in your maintenance, or you have to fit where you can fit in your projects, your building project, construction projects. But what if you do that? Yeah, that's good. It looks good. So everybody's happy, right? We have different stakeholders involved, and everybody's happy with their planning. But disruption is part of life. They will always happen. How hard we work here at all with InnoTrans, how hard we work, disruption will always happen. So failure happen, disruption happen, and unfortunately always unplanned or planned. I don't like that it, so it's unplanned. And looking to the schedule, well, you see maybe already some buffering, right? Simple buffering here in this process, there is buffers. But this capacity belongs to basically multiple stakeholders together say, okay, I need this capacity. So there's a lot of hidden capacity basically. And that's the nicest thing with the technology of Dual Inventive and of Reuisi. We also have some sensors in the tracks. Combine this information, giving you lots of opportunity to basically reduce, in this case, the transition time, and also reduce other processing time, and use that because you have direct information, and use that information to look for where is capacity that is unknown, and you can now make it known, and you can use it. You can use it on different ways. For instance, can you use it for to include the repair time for failure? But it's not only when we talk about planning and capacity. It's not only, of course, the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the most important one because we like to ride trains. We like freight. I'm coming from freight. We like to move more trains, but in the end, you need assets. And without, you can have demand, but without assets, but without the right infrastructure, then it really becomes a problem. So the infrastructure, and that is always maintained on time. That is the most important, the key priority. Then, of course, your assets, and every layer has their own number of stakeholders, right? And with their own dynamics and their own business rules and their own buffering and safety margins. So then it becomes quite difficult to plan that in a more efficient way. So do we need Einstein? Well, maybe. Just an example. For instance, if I have for on one level, for instance, the infrastructure level, or we can take the asset level, you have multiple stakeholders, at least to run one process, to make agreements with each other. What can we do? You have multiple stakeholders, and everyone has their claim on capacity. And again, everybody has their own dependencies or business rules. So, simple example. Who's doing the math? But if you look to, for instance, this simple example, you have one rail country, a couple of organization levels, You have only 3 processes. Normally you have way more processes, but that means you have more than 400,000 options. And that's difficult to calculate in a split second. So with our background in other optimization projects, what we did is, okay, how can we make it more smarter by AI? Then for the same accounts, of course, for the assets, you have the same questions. There you have, okay, can I do predictive maintenance by smart sensoring? Yes, that would be nice. That new data points, so that is, I can squeeze there a little bit in my planning. I can create room for, but for instance, is there a place where I can park my wagons to do mobile, to do a mobile inspection? And is this place then also reachable by a grain for changing the bogey? All things that comes along with planning. If you have it more data driven, then you can use again, as you see here, you can use better, look for the capacity, the hidden capacity. And what does AI do in this, perspective? It looks to all the data and looks to all the options, and then it calculates, and what we say, let's give the options to the stakeholder. So the stakeholder decides first best, second best, third best option, for instance, based on for assets for the planning. And due to the fact that he knows already input from data from the infrastructure, this planning becomes more intelligent. And then he can give to the stakeholder what they can decide. And once deciding, for instance, this is the best option. This, of course, runs back. That's the nice thing with AI. What we do, amongst others, with what kind of technology, I know it's familiar, yes or no, here in the public, but reinforcement machine learning is a really nice technology where you can do smarter planning and with different algorithms. And it is, you can create a self-learning system, because if you say the option based on all the input, stakeholder decides what to do, that's a feed for the system to be smarter for the next time. Then of course, the same for the third layer, the demand of riding a train. Riding a train for passenger, riding a train for freight. You have to mix it, and how nice would it be that we can add, in some cases, a spot train in between, or use this not to run the spot train, but here you can see you can do a good inspection or a short-term maintenance in between, because AI can support you giving the best solution. So, yeah, that's basically what we do, and what we're going with our vision to how can we optimize basically the planning for more capacity and better safety. So this was on the sunny side. Everybody knows it. Up front for a year, no problem. Hi, that's nice. But how can we mine the unhidden capacity? And sensor-based, data-based, data-driven rail freight can really help you to do that. Maybe first this one.
Yeah, let's do that.
I can do basically where we are right now. So these are our heads top of mind on our roadmap. Basically, the first things have been taken with a dual incentive to reducing the transaction time. We have multiple AI use cases for planning and optimization by the sister company, and now we're going to focus on these two to do the math, to do the Einstein.
Yes, I hope that because of the noise, people have heard it, but I would say, let's say for dual incentive, it's very important because we are always chasing railway capacity to improve it. Yes, we do that with track worker safety systems, but we deliver capacity at all time using this remote control. And there are many examples not using AI that you have, let's say, some work on your work backlog, which only takes 5 minutes to recover, but you can't do it because A, you don't know where in between there is some time, and B, it takes too much time to step, what I already said, for the transition time, and to have as a precondition that the transition time is almost 0, let's say 30 seconds, new options will come. So maybe there are some questions in the audience which we can explain a little bit. That's really clear, huh?
That's clear.
Okay. Do you want to give a takeaway or?
No, I think let's again. We're going to mine the capacity together, and by sharing that and building up the ecosystem, we can create it smarter and faster together. So I think good for everybody, because we know if we get one small percentage, like 1% of more capacity, we know we can save a lot of money instead of building a new infrastructure. That's also good. It's also our world. I know that. But how can we make it smart? Make smart use of our value.
Thank you for that. Of course, what we already said, we support this as Dual Inventive as part of our ecosystem. We start working more and more in an ecosystem, sharing with each other without competition, I would almost say. Not always possible, but in the benefit to gain more real capacity for everybody and in a safe way. So if there are no questions anymore, then I would say
come to the booth.
Oh, what?
Come to the booth.
Yeah, come
booth here on the corner or outside.
So the commercial for now. We have the booth here around the corner. It's A200. And of course, we have, as Dual Inventive, a booth outside. So if you want to understand more about the transition time, outside 0362, in between hall 25 and hall 3. And of course, we have a Brabantse delicious, delicate, which is called a worstenbrood. So that is from the famous bakery by Robert. We have many of those, so please have some, because it needs to be fun also. So thank you for your audience. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What data did you train the AI?
What data we train the AI? Real easy.
Sorry, what? Well, it's all sensor input and capacity input, like train schedules and schedules for maintenance or from the maintenance companies. The data we get from them, basically, plus the data from sensors and input from remote control systems or other remote sensoring. That gives you a lot of data to say, okay, what is the actual versus the plant, like the yearly plant or weekly plant, and you combine it constantly.
Thank you very much.
Good question.